Surely you've heard all sorts of bizarre theories about Peppa Pig.
I'm Peppa Pig.
Vampires, evil twins, and more. But do you notice the subtle details hidden within the show? Details that are right there if you just pay attention. Let's dive into it. Have you noticed that Miss Rabbit is everywhere, doing different things? Flying helicopters, rescuing people, selling all kinds of stuff. And most of the time, it seems like this character has the power to clone herself. But believe it or not, that's not what's going on. Could she have multiple clones, or maybe even be some kind of divine entity? Nope, none of that. Actually, Miss Rabbit does something much simpler than having powers or copies. In truth, she is a spy for the British government, working directly for the Queen. Doubt it? In the episode where everyone visits Her Majesty, it's clear that Miss Rabbit and the Queen know each other. And when you combine that with what the neighbor, Peppa's family, sees her doing, it becomes obvious that Miss Rabbit is actually spying on the Pig family. If you think about it, you'll realize that Miss Rabbit isn't everywhere. That's a mistake. She only goes where Peppa's family goes. Since all the episodes are from the point of view of the Pig family, we get the impression that Miss Rabbit has many copies. But no, she's just watching the pigs. The reason behind it all is still a mystery. Now, have you really paid attention to the details in the show? Are you sure that Susie and Peppa are really friends? Have you seen the episode where the little sheep tricks Peppa? Before we dive into that, let's first agree that most of the fights between the two are due to Peppa's stubbornness and rudeness, like when she keeps talking non-stop and irritates her friend. But there was one day when Susie decided to play a trick on Peppa by creating an imaginary friend named Leo, just to mistreat Peppa and blame it on the imaginary friend into Leo the lion. That day, she comes over to Peppa's house to play and introduces her new invisible friend, who doesn't even exist. Peppa, wanting to be a good friend, pretends to see Leo thinking maybe Susie bumped her head and is imagining things. But the presence of Leo at the pig's house made Susie mean, calling Peppa stupid, saying she doesn't know anything, making lion sounds with her mouth, and even talking bad about Peppa when her friend tried to join in the game. Everyone knows Leo doesn't exist, Susie. You used that trick to get back at Peppa for every time she was mean to you. That definitely makes much more sense. In Season 5 of Peppa Pig, we see a polar bear living on an icy island in the ocean when Danny Dog's father was sailing. But this is strange, right? Because theoretically, Penny Bear is a cub of the same species, yet she has human-like consciousness, while the bear on the island is just an animal. The same thing happens with Mrs. Crocodile, a zoo employee who behaves like a human, unlike the crocodiles that attack Grandpa Rabbit. So, we can conclude that there are animals in Peppa's world that aren't wild, but others of the same species have the freedom to walk, talk, and build homes like humans. But why? It's almost certain that in this case, we're talking about a reality where some animals have evolved into humans as the food chain no longer exists. Lions don't attack gazelles. Maybe Penny Bear even has a cousin, a plain polar bear who lives in the Arctic, polar bear north. So does Peppa also have relatives that are wild pigs, the infamous boars? I guess now I understand why Peppa asked Mr. Potato if she should eat potatoes. Maybe she was talking about non-talking vegetables. This curiosity might even be something native English speakers don't fully know, because in the original language, British English, there's a hidden secret involving Mr. Potato. Peppa is a globally famous cartoon, and because of that, it's been translated into many languages. But in its original language, the vegetable character has a little joke hidden. As you know, potatoes usually stay still since they don't have life or legs, and in English, there's a common expression that plays with the words potato and couch. Believe it or not, sitting down and eating isn't always a great expression. When these words are used together to describe a person, it's like saying someone is very lazy, like a potato, and doesn't do much exercise. Now do you understand why Mr. Potato having a show where he encourages people to exercise is funny? So, let's start going for more walks. And you, do you need to lose weight? Then comment with #diet so we can know. If Peppa is always facing sideways, why can we always see both of her eyes? Isn't that strange? On the other side of the little pig's face, there might be nothing, or maybe even 2 more eyes. Which one would you find weirder? Phil Davis, one of the producers of the Peppa Pig series, explains that the show is made from the perspective of younger children. In this case, children around Peppa's age, which is 4 years old, tend to draw their pictures this way. So Peppa only has 2 eyes, one on the left side and one on the right side of her face. But we can see both because that's how young children imagine drawings. As a reference, we can look at the official theater costume of Peppa Pig. Have you ever wondered how much Peppa Pig weighs? Well, she's heavier than you after eating so much popcorn. First, let's clarify that Peppa is like a little girl belonging to the Yorkshire domestic pig breed, which varies in weight between 100 and nearly 400 kilograms. Official sources report that Peppa is 1.1 meters tall, not the 2 meters many people claim on the internet. And considering she's a female pig, 4 years old, that plays a part in calculating her weight. With this information, let's compare her to a real pig. The average length of this animal is 1.3 meters, and its width is 90 centimeters. From this, we can conclude that Peppa weighs between 300 and 350 kilograms. Wow, Peppa, it looks like you don't have much room to call Daddy Pig chubby. Now, I'm going to ask a very controversial question, so brace yourself and stay calm. Should Daddy Pig maybe run away from home and search for happiness elsewhere? It's pretty clear that Daddy Pig faces prejudice and abuse from his family, and this is really sad because in the show, it's presented as something funny, but if you look closer, it's really not funny at all. Peppa often calls him silly, or even when she made fun of Daddy's weight by turning his belly into the password for the treehouse. Or on Father's Day, when Mommy Pig said this celebration was just a modern invention and less important than Mother's Day. And in the end, we see that the whole family forgot Father's Day. And it doesn't stop there. They even made the worst cake in the world to pretend they care, mixing cereal, ketchup, and cheese into the same recipe. Where's the love and respect for Dad and Matt? You know what's also important? Subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. You've probably wondered why all the houses and shops are on top of very high hills, and since the beginning of the show, there have been theories about why this happens. Many people have thought since the start of Peppa that the reason is because there are monsters that live on the flat ground and can't climb the hills, so the characters protect themselves up high. But that's not true, because many times the characters are seen in the lower parts of the city. The truth is that this detail is explained only once in the series. The reason is that in the area where it's drawn, it rains a lot and floods to the point of destroying houses and sinking buildings, so the characters need to have their houses built on the hills. In fact, this could even be a clue as to where exactly Peppa City is, because many people don't know, but long ago, thousands of years ago, the area where London is today was a swamp with flooded lands. Peppa City was most likely built in the areas of marshes that exist in England. George is a child who has difficulty communicating with others. He can only say one word, which is his favorite animal, the dinosaur. Comparing George to Edmund, we can see that there's probably something with the little pig that prevents him from communicating well with others. But is it George who doesn't speak properly, or is it Edmund who's very intelligent? And is George really just a normal child? The thing is, many people don't realize that George has a strong focus on dinosaurs. And that's unusual even for kids, because whenever the subject isn't related to ancient reptiles, George tries to turn it into dinosaurs. Some experts believe George's behavior is a clue that he actually has autism or has difficulty with attention and an overly focused interest in dinosaurs. While Edmund, contrary to the theory that he's an adult in a baby's body, we believe he's just a genius. But even so, the show hasn't explained the knowledge he has for a very simple reason. To understand the subjects Edmund knows, you need to have had more years of life than he has, and he's only 2 years old. Therefore, it's impossible for him to learn everything in this period. This is one of the reasons why time doesn't pass in Peppa's world. You've definitely seen a bunch of videos talking about animation and logic mistakes that happen in Peppa Pig's episodes. But what many people don't realize is that most of them are done on purpose. But how is that possible? It's simple. Animation mistakes are funny, and when we find one, we laugh and are happy. Plus, it's an incentive to keep watching more episodes. So, don't think that the Peppa animators make mistakes because they're careless. In reality, it's just another way to entertain you. Another way to have fun is to stick around with us. So we've prepared 2 more videos for you to watch. See you in the next video.